The girl I loved for 8 years got engaged to someone else, and one of the engagement gifts was getting me thrown in jail. On her wedding day, she learned the secret I had kept from her for 8 years. I forced a smile on my pale face. "Do you regret it, Karina?" She stood there in a wedding dress as grand as swan wings, looking pale as she stared at me, my face covered in blood. "Oliver, please just survive, okay? But it's too bad I can't make it." The day my ex-girlfriend personally handed me over to the police, she was getting interviewed with her fiancé. "Our engagement is next month, and we hope everyone can join us." Her playful voice floated through the TV, drawing a barrage of attention from reporters. The screen outside the bars switched from her sweet smile to a close-up of interlocked fingers. A large hand wrapped around a slender white one. The expensive ring on her ring finger was blindingly bright. I swallowed hard, but there wasn't even saliva to gulp down. "Can I get a glass of water?" Someone clicked their tongue, and a squashed plastic bottle rolled to my feet. It was the private detective Karina had watching me. The police hadn't convicted me, so she had to send someone to keep an eye on me. "Karina, there's still no news about your relative's death. How do you plan to handle it?" The reporter on TV quickly shifted to a more explosive topic. I twisted open the bottle with the hand that wasn't cuffed, and Karina's all-too-familiar voice came through. "I won't let anyone who killed my father get away. They will pay." The detective looked back at me with disgust. My hand clenched the bottle, trembling slightly, as I gave up my thirst for water. 2 weeks ago, Karina's father, Mike, fell to his death from the company building. Only Victor and I were there. I saw Victor push Mike off, but it was Karina who demanded a full police investigation and had me detained. Then she took over the company shares, blocking all my paths in the business world. All because of a single comment from Victor. "Oliver can't be trusted. He's no good." Karina's brother, feeling sorry for his sister, threatened everyone related to me. My family couldn't compete with Karina's powerful connections and declared publicly that they were cutting ties with me. But it couldn't stop our financial collapse. Our family went bankrupt overnight. The whole city knew Karina had an infamous ex-boyfriend, Oliver, accused of killing Mike for selfish reasons. A coworker exposed this, claiming workplace bullying against me, and blurry videos and photos sparked a huge discussion. I lifted my head to meet the delicately made-up side profile on TV. The resentment in her eyes seemed to pierce the screen, as if she could really see me. I slowly unclenched my fist, letting cold sweat drip from my hair. Her words to the police were an indictment. "He used to be a taekwondo coach, strong and dangerous. Don't let him escape." This was supposed to be just a detention, the truth not yet uncovered. Yet everyone already saw me as a murderer. "How do you feel, Oliver?" The private detective handed me a phone, and Karina's voice came through, biting her lip. "It wasn't me who killed your father, Karina. It was Victor." She asked me 7 times, and each time my answer was the same. I felt sorry for her losing her father, adored by her as a beloved princess who would never see her dad again. I was also pained by her being deceived by the real killer and by my plight. "Shut up. Are you happy now, Oliver? Victor was right. You can't stand to see me happy because you lost your dad. I hate you, Karina." I called her name, bursting into laughter until tears almost came out. "What are you laughing at?" Karina seemed furious, her voice full of anger. "Sorry for what happened 2 years ago, but Mike's death needs to be avenged. You should find the real killer, not have your detective tailing me. Karina, don't act out of hatred. Shut up. I hate you, Oliver. I will find the evidence to have you jailed, to make you suffer as I have." She raised her voice, saying words full of loathing, yet she received no response from me that showed any emotion. I knew quite well she was a stubborn little princess. With no response from me, she would frantically say hurtful things. "I hate you, Oliver. I'll put you in jail." 8 years ago, she used the same voice, calling the same name, but back then it was sweet and shy. "Thank you, my name's Karina. What's yours?" In her high school uniform, the girl's hair was wet and messy, her eyes curved but timid. She looked at me in disbelief while I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth. Sunlight conveniently poured in from the alley, allowing me to see her clearly. Don't take this path again. Use the main road. I didn't tell her my name. I kicked away the thug lying nearby, grabbed my backpack, and left. After my dad died, I didn't like getting to know strangers and learned how to fight. At first, the teachers would call my guardians, but it only brought laughter from those I'd beaten up. Why bother calling? His dad's dead, and his mom doesn't want him. I beat someone again in front of the school leaders until they ended up in the hospital. The principal found me smoking one cigarette after another. Oliver, your grades are good. You should shine for your dad and this school. Let the past be the past. But the calm life I had changed the day I met Karina. After school, she was at my classroom door, drawing laughs. Hey, isn't this the bottom-ranked rich girl from Class C? What are you doing in Class A? And what's in your hand? Chocolate? So gross. Ha ha ha. Awkwardly, she stood in the hallway, occasionally bumped into by passing girls. I've been looking for you, Oliver. You're Oliver, right? What? She wants to date Oliver? I'm impressed. Well, she's rich. She wants to date the top student. Amidst the commotion, I accepted her chocolate. Instantly, her eyes lit up like stars, nervously clutching her skirt. I never wanted any attachments because people with weaknesses are destined for hurt. But 8 years ago, I willingly made myself vulnerable. Begrudgingly willing. Oliver, can you help me? They always bullied me in secret, saying I got into the top high school by pulling strings. But I didn't. I passed the exam fair and square. Back then, Karina was really shy, and she'd only cry when she saw me. She was this outcast girl barging into my world, and I just felt like I wanted to protect her. Oliver, they don't dare tear my textbooks anymore or lock me in the bathroom. Thank you. Oliver, I moved up over 40 places in the grade. Thanks for tutoring me. Oliver, meeting you must have been my biggest stroke of luck since my parents don't like me much. Karina, who lived in my memories, was always there, chatting away. Hey, wake up, you can go now. In a haze, I was shaken awake and dragged to the police station's door. The whole city was buzzing about this business guy Mike's murder, with a rumor that his rich ex-girlfriend Karina might have done it for money. You're lucky. The evidence doesn't match your DNA, so once the detention period is over, you're free to go. Don't think you've gotten away with it. Murderers will get what's coming to them. You're gonna die a horrible death. Rotten eggs and leaves were thrown at me amid a storm of cursing. What a coincidence. A reporter just finishing an interview headed our way. A private car from the company raced past, on its way to pick up Karina. If more onlookers gathered now, it would give the reporters a hot scoop for their headlines. I opted to pull the hood of my sweater up and take a shortcut. Too late, though. A private detective with eagle eyes spotted me retreating into the crowd. Don't let him escape. There he is. As I ducked into an alley, an 8-year-old memory hit me. Karina, looking all battered, pleading for my help. Now I'm being forced by her into hiding like a rat that can't be seen in daylight. This way. As the footsteps behind me got louder, a pair of cool hands grabbed me. The petite silhouette was nimble, weaving through a narrow, dark alley. There were a few big trash bins under an old air conditioning unit. Who are you? The girl faced away, flipping open an empty bin, her shoulder-length hair neat and tidy. Hide here, I'll lead them away. Wait a second. Having a girl help me out kind of felt wrong. Stop dawdling. Hurry. They're here. You're too big. One bin can't cover you. She paid no mind to me, pressing me down inside and weighing the lid with 2 sticks. In the darkness, with 2 days of no food or water, my mind was foggy. Wait for me, Oliver. I'll be back soon. Leaving that last phrase, she ran off. Oliver. How does she know my name? Oliver, soon. That line suddenly pops in my mind. That year, memories burst through the old window paper, slamming into my heart. Tears blurred my temples silently as I bit my lip and punched the ground. Oliver, soon. When we graduate, we'll be together. You saved me and brought me to the light. I'll repay you by becoming your wife. The chaotic footsteps and curses grew louder, shattering the sweet memories. Karina. He just ran in from here. Then where is he now? Amid the chaos, Karina's sharp questioning pierced my heart like a dagger. I heard you were once quite sweet with your ex-boyfriend. Is that true? Even if they couldn't find me, the reporters wouldn't miss a beat. Impossible. He wasn't worth my liking. Knowing him was the worst choice of my life. The world now knows we're enemies. How could they know you once begged me into a trap of love? Oliver, Oliver. A voice called, and seeing the tiny hand gripping my arm, I spoke calmly. You should go. Thanks, but you shouldn't help me anymore. What's a kid doing getting mixed up in such trouble? Silly? I leaned against the wall, closing my eyes tightly as dehydration and hunger made my head spin. Then I collapsed. How is he? The patient shows signs of exhaustion. Get him on a stretcher. Give him fluids. My body felt numb and cold. Before I lost consciousness, I saw the girl in a nurse's uniform, her face full of concern. Oliver, hang in there. What do you want to eat? A meat and bread yum-yum? Or porridge, lean meat porridge? Oliver, you jerk. Took me long enough to find you. Karina nearly lost it, knocking instruments over one by one, as if that was the only way to vent her anger. Karina, don't hurt yourself. Victor frowned, holding her while showing concern. Oliver, seeing your true colors little by little, I can't believe I ever loved you. I looked at the scattered pieces on the floor, ignoring her. Not getting a response, she almost lost it, lunging to yank my oxygen tube. Victor's right. No parents for yourself, so you're dragging me into that too. Huh? Why would you do this to me? She wept so painfully, full of hatred. Oliver, I can't just let go of how you hurt Karina before. I won't give you any chance to hurt her in the future. Victor held her, soothing her as he spoke with righteousness. Past hurt? If it wasn't for you, Karina would never have. Then you left her just like that. Watching them embrace, I couldn't help but feel the irony. Karina, can't you remember? You're the one who begged me to take you away. 4 years ago, during a company meeting, I got a call from her. Oliver, please, take me away. Take me away. Karina, calm down. What happened? I cut the meeting short, saying I needed to take a call. Dad wants me to leave the country, but I don't want to. I don't want to marry, don't want to be used for family alliance. Oliver, take me away, please. Don't worry, Karina. I'm in a meeting now, but calm down and tell me where you are. I'll come right away. Oliver, you must take me away or I'll die. If you don't, I'll die. Her desperate screams made me hastily hang up instructions, then drive to the city center. I couldn't let the girl I loved suffer. Just thinking of her helpless tears had my thoughts spinning wildly. But still, I forced myself to steady my shaking hand and dialed her number. Oliver, why aren't you here yet? Quick, hurry. Oliver, I don't want to go back with my dad. I'd rather die than go back. In the end, I couldn't reach her phone anymore. She got hit by a truck while crossing the street. There were fugitives on the loose taking hostages, blocking traffic, and even ambulances couldn't get through. When I found Karina at the hospital, she was covered in blood and lost consciousness from too much blood loss. The doctor said if she didn't get a blood transfusion soon, she might go into shock and face more serious consequences. Just as I finished signing the blood donation agreement, Mike showed up. Karina got in the accident because of you. From now on, don't let me see you again. I knew it was half a threat, but I received a message. I couldn't drag her into this, so I agreed to Mike's demand. I resigned and hid all info about Karina, disappearing from her life. I never imagined how small the world is. The company I worked for in City B got acquired by Karina. 2 years later, I ran into her at the company. In that moment, emotions swirled inside me, but I held everything back. The girl who once said she'd only marry me accepted Victor's aggressive pursuit and made a big deal of it at work. She even changed the name on my proposal to Victor's, turning it into the company's brand and gifting it for the anniversary. My past started to become office gossip, but this time I wasn't going to solve it with my fists like in high school. She sneered at me. Do you think I'd fall for you again just because you're back? I knew Karina hated me. She thought I left because I didn't want to care for someone who was in a coma and might not wake up. She didn't know that every time I donated blood, it was for her until she awoke. I was always by her side. Her fiancé never even looked at her. You approached me for money right from the start. You took my dad's money, and now you plot to kill him too, Oliver. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Those icy words crashed down on me, shattering my heart. Karina, it's okay now, with me here he can't hurt you anymore. They looked like star-crossed lovers, leaving me speechless. Who are you people? You can't just barge into the hospital. Someone pushed a cart with bandages, ready to intervene with a show of drawing blood. It was the girl who helped me out when they cornered me. Who are you? I'm a lady of status. Don't you dare talk back to me. I don't care who you are. My patient needs to be checked. Even the king can't stop me from finishing my shift. She shoved them aside, boldly checking my vitals. Seeing the pulled oxygen tube and scattered equipment, she exploded like an angry rabbit. You don't even think about leaving without paying for the damages. I'm not going to swear at you too, but I could. Karina's face turned pale and shouted, venting all her frustration on me. Oliver, murderer, you killed my dad too. All the humiliation these years was because of you. I hate you. Her harsh curses echoed through the hospital, her voice loud enough to scare even the lady in the bed next to mine, who had helped with the call button yesterday, away from me. Oh, Karina, what happened to the deep love you talked about? How could it change so easily? If that's the case, go on and be the high society elite you claim to be. Just consider those years with me as blindness. Oliver, if you all don't leave, I'll call the cops and have all this evidence addressed. Let's go, Karina, we'll deal with him later. Oliver, I won't let you get away with this. Staring at the mess, I felt guilty and started cleaning up. I'm really sorry. I saw her crouching down to help, giving a bitter smile. It's the apology that counts, but it's not for you to say. She optimistically picked up shattered fragments, holding them up in the sunlight. Maybe we can glue it, make a creative vase. Could even put a couple of lilies in it. Young lady, what's your name? I'm Anna. And stop calling me young lady, you're not much older than me. I smiled, maybe it's a professional thing, being used to always being in a helpful position. Then thank you for helping twice. Let me treat you to dinner tonight. Sure. She agreed heartily, her cheeks turning red in the soft sunset glow. Oliver, you know how I knew your name? It's on the medical records. Still tidying up the shards, I pointed towards the bedside with a free hand. Oliver. But she stopped joking. Remember me, 8196. I'm here to assist you with the mission. My code is 8196. That froze me, pausing my movement. The sunset faded, and the last light was soon to be swallowed by night. Victor's tied in with drugs and crime, cunning and slippery, tough to deal with. My fingers curled, the glass cutting into my skin. Her words reached me through the hallway noise, making me clench my fists tightly. Oliver, can I ask you to be my boyfriend? She stood before me, taking the mop from my hands. Since Karina already sees me as a rival, and we do have this mission to work on together, this cover will fit perfectly. You can say your fangirl is pretty normal, Oliver. I looked at her new nurse's uniform, the amateur bun on her head, and the intern badge around her neck. Don't doubt me, I helped you twice, didn't I? Eventually, I nodded, complicated emotions surfacing. Anna, nice ring to it, boyfriend. She laughed, extending her hand for a small handshake. Pleasure working together, boyfriend. The car accident 4 years ago kept Karina in bed for 2 years. After she recovered, Victor emerged, becoming her attentive and devoted love. Karina's accident, Mike's death, all started to make sense. Victor deceived the sheltered young lady, but how could he leave no trace? When he and Karina got engaged, the sky was full of hot air balloons. Each balloon was decorated with cute cartoon characters of the pair. In the 3rd year of our relationship, Karina had stubbornly dragged me around that bridal store, trying on dresses for hours. Oliver, I'll have Dad rent out all the beaches in the city. I'm gonna fill them with hot air balloons so everyone knows we're in love. I tapped her nose playfully, grinning from ear to ear. Sweetheart, that's kinda risky. I don't care, I wanna do it. I'll even print my little drawings on them. Back then, her parents didn't want us together. They didn't think a taekwondo instructor was son-in-law material. But we fought against fate and reality, fearlessly. We dined out, dreamed of sleeping under the same roof, and even of getting married. What she didn't know was my dad's death was a wound that never healed for me. Mom didn't even look at his body before she passed. She didn't love him, never tried to understand him. Just like Karina, who never tried to understand me in the 2 years after she woke up. Otherwise, how could she not know? It was so obvious. The marks of my love were so obvious. She accused me of being a murderer, blamed me for her situation. But she didn't know that even her dad thanked me in the end. If she understood the organ donation agreement, the blood donation agreements, or if she remembered me after seeing the baby's breath I left by her bed, or found the notes I taped under broken vases after her tantrums, I can't believe she'd not know. But no, her hired detectives were hell-bent on putting me behind bars. So Karina, you got it wrong. You lied to me. Maybe she even tricked herself. Poor girls always love themselves, not others. The paparazzi were relentless, so I couldn't live in my old place. Before moving into Anna's place, I blocked all of Karina's contacts. Anna, are you sure about this? I'm sure. She nodded seriously, so cute like a nodding doll. This ain't child's play. You could get shot. Quit scaring me. I'm not a rookie. I've had some serious training. A little annoyed, she charged in, pinned me down, and tied my hands with my own hoodie strings. Straddling me, she mimed drawing a gun and aimed at my head. How's that? Admit defeat? I faked surprise, then swept her legs from under. She went down. Big mistake. Never engage physically with a perp, you're too small for that. You. Anna was speechless, muttering, that's why they sent me. I appear harmless. Then listen to me, don't close combat, Miss Anna. She was about to retort when she spotted my father's photo at the bottom of my luggage. She froze. Master. She was the apprentice Dad mentored. Dad, this time I'll fulfill your last wish. I noticed someone trailing me, quickly ducked into an alley, and hid behind a signpost. The man in the baseball cap lost me, pulled out his phone, staring across at the cafe. Inside the cafe sat Victor. He was cunning, seemed to sense something, and glanced my way, sneering. A car parked nearby, some guys got out. Victor started heading toward me too. Didn't expect him to come looking for me. Oliver, you're hard to find. He took an invitation from someone and slapped it against my chest. The cartoon characters and balloons on it were just like my high school doodles. Sorry, I won't attend a killer's wedding. Oliver, you think anyone believes you? Giving you an invite is generous enough. He thought I was just some employee who found out he was bribed and tattled to Mike with a bit of history with Karina. I warn you, stay away from Karina. That spot is mine. UPSH. Anna once asked my chances of success. I thought a moment before answering. 50%. 4 years ago, I got a secret mission about a drug lord resurfacing in B-City, had to drop everything. Meanwhile, criminal's dad caught escaped, causing a stabbing spree. Karina missed treatment because of the chaos. Dad's death and Karina's incident made me stop running, accepting the mission. I promised Mike I'd cut ties with her and left the city. With a confidentiality agreement, I got a new identity in B-City. I never forgot my promise to her, trying to protect her, hoping she'd wake up. But her waking intention was revenge, even buying out my company in B-City for it. The drug lord turned out to be rich Victor. Victor, blocking me is pointless. You've got to fool the cops. Once I run the company, first on the hit list is you. Without you, things would be way easier. His ugly grin showed as he shoved me. I didn't hold back. Flipped him over with a shoulder throw. He wiped blood from his mouth, disbelieving. You must have a death wish. Why aren't you helping me? Huh. He yelled for his bodyguards as I kicked them aside. Pushing Mike down the stairs was you, Oliver. You should rot. Seeing a car approaching, he grinned sinisterly, smirking. Wait to see me at ease while you rot in jail. Folks like you should know your place. Humans have ranks. Since the cops haven't caught you, and Karina's left soft-hearted, I'll deal with you first. He pointed at me and commanded the dozen hitmen from the car. Kill him. In broad daylight, he dared to murder. There were no cameras around, just scrambling rats in the narrow dark box. I pulled out my phone to call the cops, but a bearded guy kicked it right as I unlocked it. A strange number flashed on the screen. "I'm Karina. I want to meet you, Oliver." Right then, the number called, buzzing loudly on the ground. Trying to call for backup? The group surrounded me. Outside the circle, Victor was laughing his head off, hopped into a car, and sped away. "Show's over, Oliver. Let 'em have it." At the alley entrance, Anna appeared with a mask, handcuffs dangling from her wrist. "Are the undercover cops here?" I dodged an attack, and the gun pointed at my head was knocked away before it could fire. All set. With inside and outside help, the dozen or so hitmen were subdued and loaded into a plane van. "Great teamwork, boyfriend." Anna gave me a sweet smile, unzipping her jacket to reveal a nurse's uniform. "Did you get the wedding invite?" "Nope. So how are you gonna get in?" "Crash it." Rude. When I turned my phone back on, there were like a dozen missed calls. I opened a text to find a long thread. "Oliver, did you donate your kidney to me?" "Oliver, why didn't you tell me you've been visiting these 2 years?" "Why?" "Oliver, you still like me, don't you?" "Why'd you leave?" "Why?" "Oliver, let's talk face to face." I locked the screen without reacting, just as the glaring sunlight hit through the window. "What are you looking at?" Anna rummaged in her bag for her snacks. "Nothing." "Liar, your face looks so fake." She found 2 lollipops and handed a yellow one to me. Orange soda flavor, tangy and sweet. Seeing the bright, round design on the wrapper, I felt a warmth in my heart, like it melted a block of ice. "Anna, if your ex wanted to talk, how would you respond?" "Why's he looking for you?" "Past stuff." "I wouldn't." She smacked her lips, nibbling off a chunk of the candy. "Why?" "How would I know? I've never had an ex." We chose the same thing without discussing it. The things Karina asked me were those I'd already answered 1,000 times with actions, but she couldn't see them. Love's in the details. If you truly love someone, you'd notice. Just like when I first met her, the admiration in her eyes overflowed. Later, her eyes showed calculation. I loved her, I cared for her, so I noticed she wanted to use me to protect her, to break free from an arranged marriage. Did she love me? Maybe, but she loved herself more. I was scared to tell her I worked as a narc. She'd cry, be sad, not want to separate. But I overthought it. Now there's relief. Victor's dad's a congressman. Uncle's a police chief. Getting at him isn't easy. If there's enough evidence, he won't get away. The plan is to nab him at his wedding. It's the perfect time. That's when his guard's down. People slip up when they're on top of the world. Even with connections, Victor will face justice. We need to make him feel secure before then. Anna outlined stuff on the whiteboard. "I'll report you missing as planned, then sell tabloids saying you fled justice. 10 days till the wedding in City A. The venue's a top-tier investment-level hotel, packed and tricky to invade. But the wedding's the perfect chance to grab Victor. Plus, we can dig into his dad and uncle too to avoid any cover-ups." I stayed in, coordinating with the higher-ups. Anna's internship soon ended, and everything was ready. Yet a bump came just before the wedding. Karina hired a bunch of PIs to find me, offering a big reward. Anna teased me during her show as I worked out. "Oh, look at you. Got the ex all anxious." My new girl taught me well. Anna's sharp tongue was no match for my wits. Sure enough, her burger eating paused as she choked. "Drink some water." I patted her back, smiling. The room felt like home, sunlight pouring in. Even with all Karina's efforts, the wedding day finally arrived. In the crowd, I spotted her in a white dress, her skin like snow, hair up, crowned with jewels, looking like a princess surrounded by stars. Same face, yet I couldn't find the girl I met 8 years ago, with wet hair and timid eyes. At the lavish wedding, swarmed by reporters, she looked tired and burdened, lacking a bride's joy. "Karina, did you find Oliver? Why are you looking for him? Is he still important to you?" "Karina, is this grand wedding a sign of the families merging?" She ignored all questions, getting ushered into the venue. It was packed, big shots from politics and business filling seats. The banquet alone took up 3 levels. Then there were after-party rooms and private areas. Being a wedding, Everybody had invites, so security wasn't tight. In my waiter outfit, I shared a knowing look with Anna dressed the same, then headed to different floors. Cops in plainclothes were stationed around the hotel to guide and clear people out. Streets were slowly emptying. Dressed as randos, they awaited orders. Anna's voice came through the earpiece. Victor's dad and uncle are on the 4th floor, unarmed, no usable weapons around. Victor was on the 3rd floor. Cops couldn't get close. By the time I reached the 3rd floor, Karina was already on the stage for the reading ceremony. Her eyes scanned the crowd, spotting me easily in the corner despite my waiter disguise being crowded. But when our eyes met, she immediately gasped in excitement. "Oliver, I knew you'd come back for me." Her shout caught the attention of every guest looking my way, even Victor, who was standing nearby. I realized things were going downhill, so I hit the emergency button. All the undercover cops on the 3rd floor quickly rushed in to help. But it was too late. Victor had a gun aimed right at Karina from behind. "Don't move, or I'll shoot." Everything happened so fast that the guests just stood there, frozen, staring at the groom with a gun. Only a few seconds passed before everyone started running in panic. Karina turned around, disbelief on her face, staring down the barrel of the gun. "Victor, what are you doing? I'm your bride. Why are you doing this to me?" "Karina, I'm done with you. Your attitude is unbearable. We're about to get married, and you have the guts to call your ex-boyfriend? Do you think I'll sit back and let you make a fool out of me? I was planning to deal with you after the wedding, but you know what? Forget it. Disgusting. And you, Oliver, didn't expect you to still be alive and bold enough to show up. You come near, and I will kill her." Karina was shaking with fear, her face pale, tears streaming down as she looked at me. She pleaded just like the first time we met 8 years ago. "Please save me." In my earpiece, I got the word that 2 people on the 4th floor were apprehended without a hitch. Seems like Victor didn't have backups. Apparently, he was so focused on taking over Karina's business that he let his guard down during the wedding. We just need to stop him from shooting and keep everyone safe to arrest him. "Victor, holding your wife hostage. Really? What a coward." Anna jumped in through the window, pulling one of her trademark quirky faces. "Who are you to mouth off at me?" Victor's curses shifted to Anna, making my heart skip a beat. "You, coward, spineless, a brute in human skin." Meanwhile, a video started playing on the big screen of Victor ambushing me and ordering a hit on my life. Anna had secretly recorded it, part of the trap we'd set up together. The scared guests began to murmur, pointing at Victor. His face twisted with anger, shot around into the ceiling, a crazed look on his face. Damn witch, I got Anna's message. As Victor, furious, turned the gun on her, I lunged at him. Almost at the same time, the undercover cops rushed in, and together we saved Karina. "Oliver, I knew you'd come back. I'm okay. Don't worry, Oliver. I'm okay," she cried, clinging to my clothes, refusing to let go. Victor, realizing he was trapped, pointed the gun at Anna, dragging her behind the curtain. "Anna." I ignored Karina's cries, my heart racing. Anna was taken. She was gone. "Oliver, where are you going?" "I'm right here, Oliver." She pulled at my sleeve, unwilling to let go. "Let go, Karina." She froze, disbelief washing over her face as I spoke coldly. "Oliver, it was my fault. I won't throw tantrums anymore. I believe you now. It was Victor who killed. But didn't you also deceive me? Doesn't that cancel out?" She forced a smile, but she still couldn't hide her trembling. "Karina, let go of me. I need to save her." I feared losing control and being harsh to a woman. "No, I'm scared. Oliver, stay with me. That's the real Karina. Selfish and only thinking about herself." I shook my head with a bitter smile, watching as Anna was pulled behind the curtain and fell silent. Sadness gripped my heart. I couldn't let anything happen to her. Hold her down. I need to save Anna. "Oliver, come back, Oliver. Don't go. Let me go, let me go. Stop resisting, Victor. You're finished." In this standoff, the cunning, privileged Victor glared at me with intense hatred. "Think you're all that? Want to save her? Ha ha ha. He laughed maniacally, bent over with laughter. Anna looked pale but gestured an okay behind her back. Pain seared through me like someone tugged at my nerves. Suddenly, Victor yanked out her earpiece with force, leaving a cut on her neck. I found a calm within and glared at Victor. 9 years ago, during that drug bust, wasn't your fiancé killed? He froze, staring at me in disbelief. Who are you? I smiled, meeting Anna's wide eyes as she shook her head fiercely. I know where she's buried. Of course, Victor didn't know. He was already a fugitive back then. Tell me, he snarled, teeth clenched, eyes ablaze with red rage. Rich kid Victor was a lifelong criminal, but he loved his childhood sweetheart. He returned for her and to get revenge on the police. Sure, drug dealers are evil, but they can still love someone. He loved his fiancée but still pursued Karina after coming back. Mike noticed something was off as soon as Victor began courting Karina. He began investigating Victor secretly. When Victor found out, he decided to kill. I happened to be undercover at the company. Mike had lower suspicions about me by then, and I had no motive for murder. Mike was sharp. He once asked why I'd promised to stay away from Karina only to return, but I never answered. He figured it out, though. That's why he called me during his rooftop showdown with Victor. By the time I got there, Mike had already fallen to his death, and Victor was loudly claiming innocence, getting security to arrest me. When Karina arrived, she only listened to one side, firmly believing I killed her father. I lost all hope then. Even her father saw the truth, but she didn't see anything. Was her pain really because she loved me? Don't rush. Let me tell you a secret. I looked at Victor, who was slowly losing interest in Anna, and decided to share a secret I've kept from Karina for 8 years. I was one of the narcotics officers who arrested you, codename 7693. A narcotics officer can only reveal their name and code when they die, but when my dad passed, he couldn't reveal his either. Because his son is a narcotics officer, too. Anna widened her eyes, shaking her head furiously, tears streaming down her face silently. She knew. I was ready to sacrifice myself. Okay, maybe I'm a bit dramatic, but saying it out loud makes it feel more real. Bang! With 3 gunshots almost simultaneously ringing out, blood splattered everywhere, and both Victor and I fell. Oliver. Despite the blood gushing from my chest, I reached back to hold Victor down and called the cops outside through my earpiece. Victor is caught. Mission 7693 complete. Anna pulled out handcuffs, cuffing his hands behind him, tears streaming down as she looked at me. Call an ambulance. Call an ambulance. When the curtain was pulled open, the dim dressing room was flooded with light. Blood started dripping from my mouth onto my white shirt. Stop shouting, you amateur nurse, you're surely going to fail your internship. Those 3 shots left 2 holes in my chest. Anna couldn't stop crying, and after Victor was taken to the car, she rushed over to hold my hand. Hold on, Oliver, we haven't broken up yet. You're still my boyfriend, you die, who's going to change my light bulbs? Oliver. Karina rushed over and pushed Anna aside, looking equally frantic and worried. Oliver, you still love me, right? Tell me you do. But looking into her eyes, I realized there was no love left. My heart didn't race for her anymore. Karina, the only weakness I had turned into a knife stabbing me. She staggered in her grand swan-like wedding dress, face pale, staring at me covered in blood. As soon as she heard my reply, her expression crumbled. Oliver, please promise you'll live and love me. Okay? But sadly, this 8-year-old love has long faded, evaporating like smoke. I can't fall for her again, and won't respond to her pleas anymore. Oliver, I was wrong. A wealthy heiress kneeling at her wedding, admitting mistakes that'll surely top the trending list. Right? That night, police cars and ambulances crowded around the biggest hotel under Karina's group in B City. Funny thing, the target of the arrest was the shareholders' family, including Victor. Victor, his father, and uncle were taken into custody, while the crowd and media waited outside. We had body cameras on so people could watch live, including the moment I took Victor down. Heard that my camera footage was all blood splatter when the shots were fired. That blood even scared a kid being held. But her parents didn't complain. They begged the cops instead. Please go help him, we're begging you. Help him. Now, everyone in a city is buzzing about the drug dealer's arrest. Media previously accusing me have reversed their stance. Anna, previously the top writer against me, penned stories about my escape, but now writes about the undercover life of a narcotics officer. I laughed from the hospital bed, seeing her eagerly handing me fruits and buying meals. I'm letting it go. Okay, truth is, part of the deal involved that story. Boyfriend, have some fruit. Seeing her smile, I couldn't help but smile too. Of course, Victor is now a suspect in Mike's falling case, no doubt. However, Victor is crafty and cleaned up the scene, making the investigation tough. The station I was detained at fired over a dozen staff, including the chief and the officers who mistreated me. These were my targets during 8 years undercover, and they're finally brought down. Congrats, Oliver, you did it. Anna finally stopped showing up in a nurse's uniform in the hospital. Now she was in blue and black police gear, looking every bit like a special forces rookie. And congrats on getting your promotion. I grinned and gave her a thumbs up. You bet. That's my skill, she boasted, flaunting the badge on her chest. Oliver, it's been 6 months. You're finally awake. We've kept your medals waiting for you to leave the hospital. The usually lively girl was now crying, all choked up, unlike her newly promoted self. What's there to cry about? You got a promotion and a raise. You owe me a meal. I patted her head, noticing her hair had grown a lot. Sure, your first meal out's on me. Anna stopped crying, a big smile gracing her face. She held a piece of the broken glass, remarkably pieced together into a little vase. Its round belly and colorful glass pieces symbolized past scars now warm and mended. Lilies were placed in the vase, swaying in the morning light, cozy and inviting. In a moment, she seemed to pick up the shattered pieces of me and piece them back together. On the day I was discharged, the hospital entrance was overflowing with cars from a group. Karina appeared in a gown, right at the hospital door. She had the road decorated with a red carpet and roses lined up, attracting plenty of media attention. Oliver, I want you to say yes to my proposal. Holding a bouquet, she walked over, knelt in front of me, and took out a ring. The ring had a huge diamond, identical to what we sketched 8 years ago in our drafts. The entire city was filled with hot air balloons printed with cartoons, floating up like dense stars, spectacular and grand. Anna was stunned, her mouth agape at the sight. Not to be rude, but doesn't that mean you don't have to take me out to dinner now, Oliver? I shielded Anna, keeping her away from the cameras. Karina frowned, seeing me protecting someone else, and tried to grab my hand. Oliver, I've apologized and softened my stance. Can't you forgive me? I know you and she are just pretending. You don't really like her. It's me you love, right? She looked at me full of expectation, hoping I'd take her ring in front of everyone, hug and kiss her, and propose. Karina, do you even know what love is? But things didn't go her way, and it was like pouring cold water on her hopes. Her eyes went from hopeful to confused and puzzled in an instant, staring at me with disbelief. Maybe she thought I'd be touched, fall in love with her again, and treat her like she was the center of my world. But the pain of what I went through on the operating table was nothing compared to the pain she inflicted. We broke up, Karina. It's been 4 years. Don't misunderstand why I still see you sometimes. It's just for work. No way, Oliver. You're just mad at me. Let's not be like this. There are so many people watching, and I'll get mad. I have a girlfriend now. Please don't make her feel embarrassed. Oliver. I'm really mad now. You can't calm me down. She started shouting, holding her head, because whenever she used to say that, I'd rush to soothe her. Oliver, why didn't you come pick me up after work? I'm really mad. That time I was out on a mission, crossed several cities, and couldn't make it for her off time. In the noisy train compartment, I ignored the last meal trolley to try to calm her down. Don't be mad. I'll be there soon. How about taking the driver home first? No, I'm mad. Oliver, you know I hate that driver who keeps siding with my dad. Do you even love me? I'm really mad. You won't be able to calm me down. In the end, I made her love lunchboxes for a month, took her shopping for a month, and she finally cooled off on a Ferris wheel. Back then, she truly was the girl I cherished. Let's go, Anna. I turned away from Karina and walked down the red carpet with Anna on my arm, ignoring her. This is a public space, Karina. I've already called the cops. Disturbing public order can get you detained. Oliver, come back. Behind us, camera flashes were going off everywhere, but the girl in my arms was just excitedly muttering, "These are the best roses. They're expensive. Let me grab a few." I couldn't help but laugh, picking her up to stop her. "No grabbing. This meal's on me." At that, Anna instantly settled down. "I want some spicy seafood, crispy roasted goose, curry potatoes, fried chicken wings, burgers, and shaved ice." With the media chasing us, I carried her through alleys, leaving them behind. "Can you manage running like this right after getting out of the hospital? What do you think?" She blushed, buried her head, and didn't say anything. Before heading back home with Anna, I prepared myself for the possibility of being turned away. After all, rumors about Karina and me were everywhere. It was normal for her folks not to like me. When I met her parents, they stood up suddenly and I thought they'd ask me to leave. To my shock, they knelt down as if to bow to me. No, don't do this." Panicked, I knelt, trying to lift them up, but couldn't. Anna was on the sidelines, watching us with an amused grin. "Please, get up. I can't accept this." Finally, they stopped and both turned to Anna. "Daughter, you haven't told Oliver, have you?" I didn't get it, while Anna's face went red in an instant. "Oh, Mom, this girl hasn't told you yet. She's here to find you." I was a bit stunned as her parents continued with smiles on their faces. "Your father was our family's lifesaver. Our eldest owes his life to him. We've wanted to repay this debt, but he passed before we got the chance." As the elderly spoke, tears welled up in their eyes, and suddenly it all made sense. They were talking about when my father rescued a group of young people from being trafficked in Myanmar during an anti-drug operation. Among them was their son, now working in the city, doing well, married, and expecting a baby. I genuinely wished them the best and congratulated them on their new beginnings. Our most successful child is this daughter, studying at the police academy, striving in the city. When she passed the test, she called to say she'd meet her hero's son. Unbeknownst to me, there was a girl working hard all this time. I didn't realize the lengths she went to and how difficult her first meeting with me was. "Uncle, Auntie, can I call you Mom and Dad?" Anna covered her mouth as tears welled up again, laughing and crying at once. The couple was thrilled, spoke in a dialect I barely understood, but nodded repeatedly, shaking my hand. "Anna, would you be my wife?" I had the ring ready for a long time, fearing such an amazing girl might find me frivolous or unreliable. "Sis, please say yes." A kid ran in from outside, followed by a couple. "Brother, sister-in-law, why are you here?" "To see your happiness, little sis." Anna was sobbing, her trembling hand reaching out as I pulled her into my embrace, kissing her forehead. My love for her was not just a youthful crush. It was a steady stream that lasted. Since Victor kept appealing, police were still looking for direct evidence, and for now, only drug trafficking and aiding a jailbreak could stick. I was once again sent to investigate at Karina's company. Standing there again, I marveled at how time flies. Karina had a private investigator unravel everything from the past years, and she understood the misunderstandings back then. After collecting evidence, I went into Mike's former office to copy files. Even without direct evidence, a perfect crime chain can still be complete. Oliver, is it you? Did you come to see me?" Obviously, my expression let her know the answer. "You left to investigate criminals. You donated a kidney for me. You loved me so much, Oliver. How could you leave me now?" "Sorry, Karina. I'm just here on business." "Oliver, I really miss you. I miss your cooking. Miss you picking me up from work. Can't we go back to how we were? This time, I'll love you so much and never misunderstand again." Honestly, Karina was just so sincere. She really hadn't had much rest, and she looked clearly worn out. "Excuse me, Karina." At that moment, something shattered in her eyes, like the glass she broke herself at the hospital the other day. I saw Victor in prison. He looked defeated, but when he saw me, there was a flicker in his eyes. The police had questioned him before, but he wouldn't say a word. Victor, we've got evidence to charge you with Mike's murder. Even if you don't confess, you can't escape the law. You got close to Karina because of her sister, right? Victor gripped the iron bars with a sharp gaze. Karina had a sister she didn't even know about, Mike's illegitimate daughter. But she died 9 years ago. Where is she? Hearing this, Victor couldn't hold back and started pounding on the bars, shouting in rage. If you confess, I'll apply for you to meet her. He stopped hitting the bars, looking sorrowful and helpless. Let me see her. I picked up the pen to take a final statement. But I wasn't going to keep my promise. He deserved it. Even a cold tombstone would be out of reach. For months later, Victor was on trial, unraveling many smaller cases along with it. Besides the representatives and the police chief, even prosecutors and dozens of officials got punished or removed from office. Karina started taking down Victor's remaining forces in the business district, turning it into a fight among dogs. That September, Anna and I got married. Anna wanted to wear a traditional Chinese wedding dress, so I chose a Song Dynasty wedding outfit to match her. Our friends all showed up in Hanfu and even recited poems at the reception. Those guys from the precinct, they sure looked sophisticated when they started drinking. Anna's bridesmaid caught the bouquet and immediately went to confess to my superior, leaving us just staring in shock. Karina rented all the shops and hotels nearby, but still couldn't get into the wedding. Why? Anna asked, curiously holding her dress. Because I don't make a habit of sending wedding invites to ex-girlfriends. But I knew she'd try to stop us. When she barged in with her crew, she found out it was my boss and Anna's sister on stage saying vows. Karina, as adept as she was with weddings, especially a cop's wedding, got herself arrested right there. Meanwhile, we were on a train to Hainan for our honeymoon. Go Oliver! Anna cheered, wearing her red wedding dress, dancing with joy. I, on the other hand, gracefully adjusted my groom's hat, fanning her with a hand fan. Hey, you two look amazing. Can I take a pic with you? Later, on a travel magazine cover, I saw Anna with her hand on her hip, arm around a little kid, looking stunningly beautiful in her bridal outfit. I stood behind her, pretending to fix her hair with feigned helplessness. The kid wasn't ours, but somehow they were. Because all the kids in the world are flowers we pledge to protect. 3 days after we returned to City A, my mom, who'd been gone for 9 years, showed up at my door. She stared at me in silence for a long moment, and then burst into tears. Oliver, don't blame me. I just couldn't face you back then. Didn't know how to deal with the family. Seeing the ring on her finger, it wasn't Dad's. It was a brand new diamond. She noticed me looking, and awkwardly pulled her hand back. Mom, before Dad died, he thought about you all the time, but left me nothing. Oliver, Her phone screen lit up, showing a family picture. A boy in her arms, smiling so brightly with eyes full of joy. Nothing like the me who got left behind. He never had to fight to not get bullied or learn to cook just to eat a decent meal. And here I am, spending my life trying to make up for that one painful year. Why are you here? Oliver, you caught that Victor guy, his company fell, and now we're out of work, life's tough. I got it. She suddenly wanted to accept me as her son again. Ma'am, if I can be blunt, did you think your son would struggle to survive after you left? Anna came out, clearly overhearing us, unable to hold back. You don't understand, little girl. I had my own struggles. Mom, I stopped her. Here's Dad's inheritance, untouched. But once you take it, it's goodbye for good. She excitedly took the savings book, but after my final words, her eyes turned sad and dim. She left, taking the card, looking back a few times, but still, she left. That was it, we've cleared our debts. No worries, hubby. My parents are yours too, and my brother's your brother. Her words made me laugh and I tweaked her nose. Let's go get some braised pork. Ever since Mike's fall, everything seemed to spiral downhill. The decline in financial partners stripped the group of most assets, facing ruin. Karina's brother, after a failed investment, Thought he could sell his sister to a wealthy man with several wives to cover debts. Anna shook her head in disbelief. This is still a thing? In this day and age? I stroked her slightly rounded belly, urging her to finish the chicken soup. Being pregnant means you should watch cute stuff. Not this nonsense. Our baby was already 3 months along. The doctor said it was healthy, all indicators normal. When the baby was 5 months, Grandma Juan came to the city to be with Anna for the delivery. This baby's such a kicker, it's gotta be a girl. But on the day of the delivery, I was on duty, caught on the way back by an emergency call. Patrol 2, someone's been taken hostage at 6 South Street. Get there ASAP. By the time I arrived, the hostage had a cut on the neck, but thankfully it wasn't deep. Just as I moved in to help, another guy rushed from the shadows, wielding a knife. The crowd was cleared by the traffic police. I just subdued the hostage taker, hands full, hoping to kick away the weapon as the other got closer till backup arrived. Oliver. In the midst of the crisis, someone rushed from the crowd, ignoring the officers trying to stop them, and stood in front of me. I handed over the person I had restrained to the auxiliary police and saw Karina fall with a stab wound to her abdomen. I quickly kicked the attacker, pinning him to the ground. Call an ambulance. But Karina struggled to crawl over, stubbornly shaking off the auxiliary officer's hands. Oliver, is there really no way to go back to the past? She cried, offering a humble plea. Hoping for the softness of heart I showed the first time we met years ago. Blood flowed from her stomach, staining her white dress red. I've learned to love, Oliver. I've learned to love. Can't you love once more? She knew the answer I had already given, even as she seemed willing to risk her life for me now. Karina, the company engaged in unfair competition. Let's follow the procedure and take you to the hospital. Karina seemed indifferent, allowing her hands to be cuffed behind her as blood flowed from her abdomen. She only stared at me, her eyes red and teary. Oliver, are our 8 years gone just like that? She knew she might never see me again after this. She wouldn't be in jail long for the company's crimes. But she also knew I wouldn't visit her. As we gazed at each other from afar, the love words of that summer now seemed like fleeting fireworks, centuries past. But I'll face all scars with a smile because now there's a girl I need to protect, and I'll create a world for her. Take care, Karina. The neon lights flickered, and colorful fireworks lit the sky. She watched the fireworks reflected in my eyes, tears streaming down her face, shaking her head fiercely. My Oliver, Oliver, why don't you love me anymore? He was my Oliver, mine. After I turned away, once proud Karina cried her heart out, like a lost child. Oliver, there's no one else who loves me. You said you'd always love me, right? As long as you don't let go, I'll love you forever. You better not lie, or I'll be hard to please. You're my Oliver. No one can take you away, my Oliver. She once said I was the light in her dark world, the light that redeemed her. But later, she was the one who gradually extinguished that light herself. She deceived me with sweet words until I stepped into the trap, and later claimed I reminded her of her past failures. She blamed me for knowing her worst sides, her insecurities, cowardice, and jealousy, seeing the sun and wanting to discard the moon that once accompanied her. That's not what love is about. All the memories of love between us disappeared with her choices. When I arrived at the hospital, Anna had just been wheeled into the operating room. I witnessed the whole birthing process, hearing her agonizing cries that nearly shattered my heart. Never again, I'm not having a second child. Mom was right, it was a girl wrinkled with red skin. Looking at the ugly child, I felt melancholy. Don't worry, man. Your wife's so pretty. The kid's bound to be a beauty, the mom in the next bed joked. When we celebrated the baby's first month, Anna had recovered, almost back to her lively self. What gossip? Spill it. I was holding the baby as she and her friends gossiped, not watching out. I got a little pee on my pants. You know that rich girl? Didn't she run away because she didn't want to marry some tycoon? Anna listened intently, almost like I wasn't even there. She got into trouble with the law and was jailed. After getting out, none of her relatives would take her in. I saw her working at McDonald's, selling her bags on the second-hand market. Anna nodded thoughtfully and continued sipping her soup, listening in on the gossip. I chuckled and went to change the baby's diaper. I rarely saw Karina later on and barely remembered our past. Before long, we took a family photo as a trio and moved into the newly renovated house. Finally, after 6 months of letting the air clear, the indoor air quality improved. Anna transferred to a desk job due to health issues, while I often started and ended my days early or late. She wouldn't let me change jobs, waiting up for me no matter how late. I've learned to cook now, so you don't have to make breakfast before you leave. Don't worry about me, honey. You go protect the people and I'll be waiting right here. I won't keep you waiting long. I patted her head and kissed her forehead. When our child started elementary school, Anna's long hair reached her waist, looking stunning. When our child started high school, I was transferred elsewhere. She relocated with me, but with schooling inconvenient, she eventually went back. But this stubborn girl returned, sticking with me regardless. Lily's in 8th grade now. She can't cling to me forever. I want to stick to you. When she only relies on you for old age and not me, let's see you cry. I laughed, styling her hair. I told her to pick the best university in your city for college. If she doesn't want it, that's okay. But she promised, assuring she'd attend the police academy. Lily indeed excelled academically, and I often took every chance to make up for the father-daughter time missed due to work. Dad, I know you're busy, but celebrating my birthday with you makes me really happy. Don't overwork yourself. I'd always pat her head and share stories of people and experiences from my missions. Is that how you met Mom? Yes, your mom was a brave girl. Dad pursued her for a long time. I never expected that years later, I'd receive a letter from an old acquaintance. The letter was thick, seeming like someone had been writing for years, from a decade ago to 2 years back. There was a line on the envelope. To Oliver, my dearest. The handwriting had become shaky, as if forcefully recreating her elegant high school script after many tries. Karina in high school. Her writing was beautiful and delicate. She was imitating her past self, finding her way back. Was this another kind of rebirth? If time could rewind, maybe she would have had a different life. But time can't turn back. I didn't read the letter and returned it intact to the return address. South China Cemetery, City A. That was a cemetery where homeless people with no family were buried. For the past decade, I've only seen her in news reports. She jumped into the river, bitterly, under Victor's revenge. But all this will eventually have nothing to do with me. Lily got into the police academy. We were all so happy for her and wished her the best of luck in her new adventure alone. At 18, she's grown into a bright and charming girl, with eyes that sparkled just like Anna's. She has her own dreams and goals. Even if she falls, she quickly picks herself back up. From now on, she will be out there in the world on her own. My dear Lily, your mom and I hope you can face difficulties bravely and turn them into the milestones of your amazing life. We'll always be waiting for you at home, so come back and visit when you're tired. I placed a gentle kiss on Anna's forehead as she slept peacefully beside me. That kiss was a lifetime's worth. Together, we grew old and took long walks in the snow. I have loved and cherished my dear Anna all my life. Karina's story. I'm Karina, a rich girl. When I was 12, I was crowned on an international stage. From that moment on, I knew I was destined to be in the spotlight. I have fair skin, beautiful looks, a distinguished family background, and talents nurtured from a young age. Dad may not love Mom, but he loves me, probably because I remind him of his beloved past. Mom loves me too, but she loves Dad more. She knows he likes my face, so she kept hiring appearance managers for me. Mom used me to win Dad's favor, but I didn't like eating diet meals every day. I didn't like ballet or Mom's bedtime stories either. In those stories, a princess always has to go through hardships to have a happy ending with a prince. The princess has to be perfect. I had no choice, so I gradually accepted the envious looks from others and enjoyed them despite the darkness inside me. Under my mom's guidance, I got into the best high school in the province, but Dad rarely came home. In a school play rehearsal in 10th grade, I was still dazzling on stage. But afterwards I got bullied. They said my eyes looked superior. They didn't like me. They isolated and ignored me, and I was too scared to fight back. At home, I had no right to protest. I lost my voice, not even intentionally. As my grades dropped, Mom began to scold and hit me. Life became a dead end, dark and hopeless, and I couldn't sleep because of depression. But I was meant to be in the spotlight. I was born to be better than others, and I couldn't fall here. So when I was cornered, I called out to the boy I had passed many times. The only light in my life, Oliver. I begged him to help me, and he did. He scared them all away. After that, I used him just like Mom used me. I knew no one dared to mess with him at school. So, I waited for him after class to let everyone know I liked him. I filled my eyes with admiration and love, showing him my vulnerable side to make him want to protect me. He was a fair and kind boy. I was lucky he fell for it. Every time I would wait for him after school, smiling and handing him handmade paper crafts, sometimes a rose, other times a heart. I dressed up with some cream and lipstick, using my pretty face to draw him in. Gradually, he started accepting my little gifts and even encouraged me to focus on my studies. He helped me not just during physical education but would pull me out of the shadows and want me to see him play games. After school, he'd be waiting to walk with me to the cafe by the gate. We marked every table by the window, looking into each other's eyes after writing assignments countless times. I realized I had truly fallen for his earnest, handsome, sunny face. So I began to feel guilty, afraid he'd find out my ulterior motives. I didn't want him to leave me, so I told him, "It's only a little while longer until we graduate, and we can be together. I can be your wife." That year, I started to return to being the bright, cheerful rich girl I once was. But that was also the year Mom died by suicide from her depression. It's weird. Dad ignored Mom when she was alive, but went crazy, refusing cremation after she died. I knew Mom never loved me. She only loved Dad. I suddenly realized that without Oliver, I would have ended up like Mom. Because in Mom's diary, I discovered a secret. I am not my mom's daughter. My biological mother was my dad's true love, and I have a sister. So I lost it and fought with my dad for the first time. I didn't want a family-arranged marriage. I refused to marry someone else. I hated them. I hated how their entanglements dragged me into them. I called Oliver, begging him to take me away. But why, oh why did Oliver betray me as well? I hated him. I hated him. Waking up in the hospital, I smashed everything the servants bought for me. The flowers Oliver used to bring me, I didn't want to see them. I destroyed them. I started hating him, absolutely hating him. How could he leave me? Did he leave because Dad paid him off? Oliver, I can't stand you. So I planned my revenge during our reunion 2 years later at the company. I spent every day of those 2 years planning how to find him and seek revenge. I acquired the company in City B where he worked and agreed to Victor's plan for revenge. Dad had died. I should have been sad, but I thought if Oliver kneeled before me, I might forgive him for killing my father. I only wanted his apology. But he didn't, he simply didn't. I used every tactic, but he never gave in. Why wouldn't he just give in to me? Why? He even had someone else by his side. Why did everything hurt me? I was about to marry someone else. Oliver, why aren't you coming to apologize to me? You left me for 2 years, took Dad's money, and caused his death. Were you really just using me from the start to get close to me, as Victor said? By the time I realized my mistake, it was too late. I never knew that my Oliver was an undercover drug cop. All those years hustling, he was by my side, watching over me. I never noticed him. I was too busy hating him, getting back at him. I never realized that every time I regained consciousness when I was in a coma, there were gentle hands always caressing me. I never noticed that hidden inside those broken vases were letters. I didn't see the struggles he couldn't put into words. I was just focused on hating him. At the wedding, watching you worry about another girl, risking your life to save her. Do you have any idea how helpless and desperate I felt for that moment? The person I love doesn't love me anymore. My Oliver doesn't love me anymore. After that, she started taking over the company's shares, pulling strings in the business world to block all my paths. He did so much for me, so why did things end up like this? Why? Did I hurt him? Was it me who hurt him? My Oliver, I'm so sorry, so sorry. The moment I saw the icy look in his eyes, my world went silent. The once lively, cheerful heiress had reached the end. I once said I wouldn't marry anyone but him, and I broke that promise. I know I was wrong. I want to win him back. I got down on my knees and proposed, begging him to love me like before. But in his eyes, I saw a cold rejection. I got a taste of the sweet victory years ago when I plotted against him, and now I'm facing the consequence. He's in love with someone else. My world crumbled. Mom doesn't love me, Dad's just so-so, and the one who loved me the most, my Oliver, doesn't love me anymore. I don't have Mom and Dad anymore, and no Oliver either. When my brother found out I'm not actually his sister, he kicked me out with disgust. I still think I can see my 12-year-old self in the mirror with this weary face. Back then, I was waiting for a future full of attention and admiration. Turns out I never knew what love was, 'cause nobody ever taught me how to love. From the moment I met Oliver, I already had the wrong idea about love. I thought Mom loved me, thought Dad loved me, and then I went and lost the one who really did, Oliver. He's married now, with kids, a picture of bliss. I live each day trapped in the memory of our best time when we were 18. On the summer solstice, with a body full of scars, I hopelessly fell into the sea. My Oliver, can I meet you in the next life? I promise I'll never hurt you again.